Hi, I'm Wings.
And I'm River Fox.
And this is an unscripted intro.
Exactly. So if there are any unsolicited interruptions or awkward pauses, you know why.
Exactly.
Basically, Wings and I were being doofy one night on a recording phone conversation thing, reading everyone's voices on tolerance and weird accents, so we decided to make a video of it, so you could all hear what we came up with.
Exactly.
We hope you do enjoy, and if you don't enjoy, well, please don't hate us. Also, we totally do not...
Please don't kill us.
Please note that we do not mean offense to anyone's characters. We did this purely out of humor, and we love you all because this is the most awesome RP ever.
We love all of you.
All of you.
You can't see, but I'm making a heart with my hand.
Well, that's enough from us.
Right.
Please enjoy.
Roll 'em!
A suppressor attached to Daenerys Hammerly poked the side of Seth's head. "Of course I'm around," the fox said. "People usually stay at home during the wee hours of the morning, no?" He holstered his handgun, as well as a silenced Glock 18 bearing an extended magazine that had been aimed at the raptor by the couch. A pair of scythes had been thrust into his belt as well. "Of course I'm extremely irritable when my apartment is being picked in the wee hours of the morning." He lifted an eyebrow. "Now, if someone would be so kind, I would like a reason to improve my mood." Daenerys was busy rifling through the pantry when Belair returned. Unfortunately for all parties involved, Daenerys and Belair were only two people, and as such they did not need to buy much food. "Hang on," he growled, shifting some boxes of food. "Remind me to get some peanut butter next time I go grocery shopping." The fox paused. "On second thought, remind me to go grocery shopping soon." He flipped the pantry light off and shut the door. "Now what do you want?" he asked. "The Chinese place? Someone wants me?" The fox returned to the living room and immediately checked the weapons he still had on him. "This day just gets better and better. Who is he, what does he look like, and what was his attitude when he asked for me?" he demanded curtly, checking that the 2 extra clips he had were still on him.
He glanced at Riley, surprised that she was staring at him and continuing to stare. Me? Food and now medical services. Is this a very well-planned trick, or just pure coincidence? He pondered this for a moment, staring blankly at Riley. His paranoia kept poking him, but as crazy as it seemed, the situation felt and looked more like a coincidence. Lucky me! Sid thought, as he blinked, signaling that he was done thinking, and nodded. Wouldn't hurt!
"Gary!" Sydney squealed. "You're alive!" She scooped him in a tight hug, lifting his feet off the ground briefly before she almost immediately dropped him as she seemed to remember something. "Soy sauce!" she exclaimed. "I completely forgot! Whatever, you're awake now, and we can get some later. It actually sounds pretty good, you know. I found the neatest little place down the street. Why haven't we been there yet? Anyway, it's got the most creative soy sauce mix and has actual pineapple in it." She paused her ramble for just a breath and corrected herself. "Well, technically she said it had pineapple flavoring, so I don't really know whether or not it has actual pineapple in it. But regardless, it sounds like something you would love, being a fruit bat and all. And either way, I want to get the recipe so I can take her with it later." She finally stopped talking long enough to smile at Gary blissfully and try to remember what it was that she was going to tell him before she got excited and forgot. She stared at him for a full 3 beats before it came crashing back on her. "Oh my gosh, Gary!" She grabbed his shoulders and shook him like a rag doll. "We've got a job, Gary! An actual job that pays actual money! We need to get over there now! I swear this isn't like the incident with the missing poodle!"
The flying fox gasped for breath as he was squeezed and set down. He patiently kept his mouth shut for the duration of the rant and was about to open his mouth when he was shaken like a rag doll, and then the talking resumed. Finally, his wings clapped down on Sydney's shoulders. All right, he cried. "Sid, relax!" When the newt had stopped talking, Gary looked at her. "You chilled?" he asked. Okay. Releasing his friend, the fruit bat held his hands at chest height as he unraveled Sydney's words. "Okay, so you found some soy sauce that you thought I would like at the restaurant down the street, and someone at said store has an offer for us. Did I get that right?" he asked. "All right, then let's go." Shadows were cast over his sunken features as his hair slid forward. His paper-thin flesh and bony prominences gave him the appearance of something you might find on the side of the road, more so than a living, breathing organism. He spoke slowly and carefully, making sure that he would abbreviate his plans to the necessary points. "The biochemical is my vector.
If we can seal off the main room where these despicable acts take place, then I can flood those wretched primates with a non-lethal aerated paralyzing agent.
The venom in Monier's eyes was evident. The incredulous demeanor he had grew as the plan unfolded in his head.
I'll take your man, only under the condition that you find a way to save the young ones, and allow me to do what I wish with whomever you don't want alive.
His sentence dropped in a ghastly echo, his vibrant green eyes alive.
As Wren entered the establishment, she was smacked in the face by several scents at once. The smell from the kitchen was most prominent, and it made Wren's belly ache with hunger as it wafted past her nose. However, there was another scent that Wren could pick out anywhere, no matter how faint or underwhelming. "Diner!" she squeaked. "What did I tell you about me and humans?" The humans in the corner seemed none too pleased about Wren's distaste. The man at the counter patiently ignored her comment and politely asked if she'd like to order anything. Wren sniffed and crossed her arms stubbornly. "I've lost my appetite," she grumbled. Her stomach apparently disagreed and let out a grumble of its own loud enough for everyone to hear. Wren stomped over to a table as far away from any of the humans as she could get. She slouched in her seat and started pouring sugar packets sullenly into her mouth. Wren followed the fox begrudgingly, pulling her jacket over her head and grumbling under her breath. "That's easy for you to say. Talk to me when your daily list of things to avoid includes being played with like a cat toy and eaten with barbecue sauce." Tail swaying lightly, Lear contented himself with waiting for the moment. "The trouble you expect from me has already passed dinner." Looking at Wren, the Dionysius tilted his head to the side, regarding her as she got closer to him. "And here I am used to people keeping away from the anthro-dinosaur. What good would a document from me be? I have a lot of contacts, some of which are forgers. Impossible to Olympus." The thin grin on his face made it obvious that he was highly amused at this point. "And before you can ask, no. I haven't been to it, and probably know less than you. More pressing matters have had my attention, but I do try and stay well informed." Looking at Wren and the squirrel at his left, Lear began to wonder about the mouse's eyesight.
"Whatever conspiracy you two are involved with, shut up for a moment," Seft grumbled as he held out a paper to Daenerys. "This is going to be a simple checkup on you and Ren to see if any more bullet wounds or blows to the head were involved, but I ended up being an idiot and helping even more people out." The note was printed in a very fine handwriting. Only a few lines crossed the surface, but they had worried Seft enough to get involved.
"I run a free clinic. I'm obliged to complain on nutrition and wellness," the Falcon said as he headed towards the door behind Daenerys. "People I work on might get worried if I didn't." Glancing at Beleaguer, Seft sighed as he turned his attention back forward. "I think the three of us are armed and trained enough to handle any problems that crop up, shotgun or no. Besides, I hate picking shot out of people."
The young male pulled on a shirt and hoodie and placed his wallet in his back pocket. He reached beneath his pillow and pulled out a Desert Eagle without a clip. It wasn't that he didn't have one, he just didn't want to grab one. Beleaguer moved to the door and opened it as quietly as possible. His tail twitched in the same manner that most squirrel tails do as he blinked, trying to get his eyes to adjust a little more. "Want to go out for a little bit, Daenerys? Try to get rid of as many of these morons as possible by the time I get back. Preferably the larger ones, because they don't live here, and the small one will run into the door real hard or do something real stupid, and that's my job," he told the fox as he moved to the window. "Anyway, later." He opened it and adeptly climbed down. It took him a while to actually figure out what he was doing or where he was going. In fact, he didn't have a clue as to what he was doing until he found himself by a coffee shop. "Oh, I know what I can do! Isn't there some kind of Chinese place or something around here?" he asked himself. It took him a full minute to see the sign across the street. "Ming's Dynasty, that's the one." Instead of pressing any buttons for the crosswalk like a normal person would do, he simply dashed across. "Door, door, door, there it is," he mumbled quietly. He opened the door, flattening his ear, when the bell sounded.
Stop it.
The armadillo's voice rang sharply through the kitchen as she marched towards the newt on the floor. The angry anthro pointed her skillet at the two intruders in the kitchen.
I do not care what is going on. That is enough. There will be no fighting in here, and if you can't control yourselves, you will both leave immediately. Mr. Beleaguer.
She turned her slicing gaze on the dangling squirrel.
If you can't keep from firing that gun inside the building, I will kindly ask that you never bring it in here again. And, ma'am."
This to the newt, but with no less severity.
Whatever the issue here is, if you absolutely have to tear him apart to settle things, you'll kindly do it outside.
Riley squared her stance and glared back and forth at the newt and the squirrel as she pointed her skillet at the door.
Control yourselves or get out. Do I make myself clear?
Exactly! Carson added, pulling himself up to his full height and glaring down at the two offenders as menacingly as possible. What the armadillo said! Make any more noise in here, and I'll toss you out! No, on second thought, I'll eat both of you, and then I'll toss what's left out! He let his hand fall close to a holstered gun on his hip for extra emphasis, even though he knew that he was definitely the top predator in this situation. He backed to Riley to order, but he realized that he had forgotten what he wanted. He hissed to himself, annoyed and very hungry, and glanced back up the menu. Just give me about 20 egg rolls and a couple of pounds of lo mein, he sighed, and some egg drop soup and fried rice. He dug a large handful of mints out of a small box on the counter and started squeezing them out of their individual wrappings into his mouth. Not that they helped his breath any, or his empty stomach.
And cut. I think that was pretty decent.
How was that?
That was good. You were recording. You are now recording.
This is recording.
This is Carson. Please continue with your, or begin with your first, yes, it is the first. Please begin. Go.
Exactly, Carson added, pulling himself to his full heart.
Stop it! The armadillo's voice rang sharply through the kitchen as she marched toward the Newton floor. Okay.
Gary! Charlie! Gary! Okay, this is Sid the Coyote, take 86. Go. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm messing you up with the number thing, aren't I?
I'm sorry. Take 86. Okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Go. Tail swaying lightly, Lear contented himself for... Starting over. Tail swaying slightly, Lear... Sorry, I'm on my stomach. It doesn't help. There we go. Sitting up now. That was amazing.
The end.
The end.
Okay.
Okay.